You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Governor's House. I'm Larry Sharpe, running for governor of New York State here in 2018. I'm so happy that you've joined me this evening. We're talking about family law this evening and domestic abuse this evening. And I want to start with a story. But before I do that, remember, if you want to join in, call me, talk to me about anything you like. Feel free, 877-480-4120, 877-480-4120. When I was a boy, many of you know, I was raised in the Bronx, not the best neighborhood of the Bronx, in the early 70s. I'm 49 years old, so that tells you when that was. When I was a little kid, I had my father was both a cop and a corrections officer. He swapped jobs. He was a subway cop and also a corrections officer. And when he was there, he had friends who were cops and corrections officers, obviously. One day, all of a sudden, the door on our apartment in the Bronx, someone's banging on it. They bang on the door in my apartment. I'm young, maybe 5 or 6 years old. I'm a kid. The door literally bashes open because what I didn't understand is one of my mom's friends was staying with us. And the guy who bashed the door open was her boyfriend. He bashed the door open, pulled his gun, and said he wanted his girlfriend. His girlfriend came out to talk. My father came out. My mother came out. And we all were in our foyer area, the area where you enter the apartment. And he's got his gun out, and he's yelling that he wants to talk to his girlfriend. His girlfriend comes out. She doesn't want to talk to him. They're yelling and screaming. My father, calm as can be, he also had a firearm. He always held an ankle holster. And he didn't draw his weapon, even though this guy had his weapon out. They were friends. They were talking. I don't remember what they were saying. It's just 40 years ago. And all of a sudden, in his anger, he took the pistol and he smashed his girlfriend in her face. He pistol whipped her. Nose busted open, blood. I'm in shock. I can't believe it. All of a sudden, bam, that happens. Oh my God. When that happens, I just sit there and watch. My father, again, somehow is calm and just says, hey, guy, you got to stop. Whatever. He's talking to him like it's okay. He's just trying to talk this guy and calm him down. My mother is mad, and the funny thing, my mother almost attacked him, not even caring he had a gun. She was upset and mad and screaming at him and yelling at him and calling him names, and she grabs her friend and she pulls her away. My father and him talk for a bit, and he leaves. And I say to myself, wait a minute. Somebody comes into the house, kicks the door in, hits this woman. My father shoves him out, puts the latch on the door, and she walks away. Why do I tell you this story? Not because you should care, not because you're upset, but to let you know that I'm not immune. I'm not someone who hasn't been around domestic violence. Not just that. Years later, when my mother and my father were having a lot of problems, my mother was going to leave my father. My father tended to have other girlfriends on the side. So he wasn't the best husband. So when that happened enough times, my mother was upset. She said, I'm leaving you. I'm out of here. I'm gone. It's the end. He said, no, you're not leaving me. Because if you leave me, I'll kill you. I was there. He said that. My father wasn't joking. He meant that. My mother, as brave as she was, sometimes I'm awed by her bravery. She said, no, you won't, because you'll never find us. You'll never find us. That actually scared my father, believe it or not, into turning his life around. That sounds crazy. It's like a silly story, but it's true. It actually turned his life around. He was like, oh, my God, can't believe that. Oh, my God. He couldn't believe that my mother would stand up to him, but she did. And he backed down. And at that point, he was as close to a model husband as you could possibly be. My mother actually once remarked, I wish that had happened years ago. I know it sounds crazy. I know that sounds insane, but if you've been there in that kind of relationship, you know. Now, again, why do I tell you that? I say that because I want you to realize that you nor I nor anyone else knows what's actually happening inside someone's relationship except for those people. They know what's happening in the relationship. And for us to decide that it's right or wrong is the wrong answer. What we have to do is support those people when they decide to leave or break it off. That's the critical aspect. Not forcing people to not be together, not forcing people to be together, but instead supporting people when they decide to break it off. Now, I bring this up because so often I hear fights, problems, and issues in family court, in family law. What a big problem. And often it's always said, oh my God, here we go. We're in family court and my husband's beating me. My wife is cheating on me. That is happening. And the problem we have here, and it's a small thing that most people don't know unless you've been through family court, and that is if you lie in family court, it's not perjury. There's actually no punishment to lying in family court. So since there's no punishment to lying in family court, people tend to lie. And all of a sudden, everyone believes that every father is beating his wife and every wife is cheating on her husband and every kid has been abused, when the vast majority of children are not abused. The vast majority of husbands aren't beating their wives. The vast majority of wives aren't cheating on their husbands. That's not what's happening in the vast majority of them. It's not happening. But it feels that way. It feels like it's terrible. Everyone's bad. I bring this up because we're having some issues now with gun rights and domestic violence. We're having issues now with sexual harassment. Now the governor of New York State, Governor Cuomo, has decided that he wants to pass new laws, to take away the gun rights of people who are domestic abusers. And he wants to pass new laws to make sure that sexual harassment is reported on, and New York State doesn't do work with people who are harassers. This is a knee-jerk reaction to a problem in one point that isn't as bad as people think it is, but at the second point, it's already changing. So let me touch both parts of this. The first part I'm going to touch is the sexual harassment aspect. He wants to pass a law that actually forces companies to report to New York State, that punishes people, right, for sexual harassment. Here's the problem. It's already changing. You can already see people everywhere losing their jobs, losing their careers. Culture is changing now. Why in the world would you add punishment when culture is changing? It's happening now. But I have to go one step further. Where were you, Governor Cuomo, when you were under fire? A couple of years ago, when people underneath your administration were saying they were being harassed, well, then you were silent. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's got to start reporting. And here's the problem. The reporting aspect that he wants to do, it's gonna go to zero tolerance. And the plan is, if you report, and you must report, if you don't report, you cannot do business with New York State or any state agencies. Well, you're a small business. You've got one guy who does something that may or may not be harassment. A woman says that he harassed her. Your business is finished. You're done. You're finished. But what if you're a big business and that happens? Nothing. You'll pay the fine. There'll be some punishment for doing this, right? Whatever that punishment is. And if you're a big company, you'll pay the fine. If you're a big company, you get rid of one person, one guy or gal, doesn't crush your company, you'll be fine. You fire that one person, move them, whatever the case may be. Or you have multiple clients. So if you lose one, the world's not going to end. What is this actually going to do? It is going to make small business even more afraid, so they won't report when they were going to anyway. Again, culture is changing. At this point, what the governor should be doing is only one thing: using the bully pulpit to say, yay, don't stop. Yes, this is correct. The problem is people believe the goal of the government, the goal of anybody, any organization, is to punish the offender. This is wrong. The goal should be to stop sexual harassment. I don't want to focus on punishing those people who harass. I want to focus on stopping harassment. Look, I know, particularly if you're a woman and you're listening, odds are you've in some way, shape, or form been harassed or assaulted or something like that. Odds are you have, because it's very common for women. Odds are you have. And what if they punish the guy who did that to you? So what? Am I saying they shouldn't punish? No. But so what? I know women, and many of you who know what I do, you know that I do a lot of executive coaching. I do some career counseling. I've met many women who've had these negative experiences years ago, and they still sit with them today. Punishing the guy who did wrong doesn't make that woman all of a sudden magically healed. No, she still hurts. She feels it. She still feels like it's bad. She still has the pain. So guess what? Let's stop focusing on punishing them. Please punish them, of course. But that's not the focus. The focus should be on stopping the behavior. The goal of any policy, any law, any rule, any culture must not be to punish the offender, but to stop the behavior. And the behavior is stopping now. That's the point. It is happening now. If you want it to keep going, guess what? Encourage it. Simply say, great, thank you. Talk about it. Please say it. Come out, say more. Tell people about it. Please do that. And don't say, I'm going to punish the small business for reporting. I'm going to reward the small business for reporting. That's the right answer. So when a small business says, hey, I have a harassment problem, you don't go, that's it, you're not working for us anymore. Why would you do that? Instead, say, great, I'm glad, thank you. That's what you should be doing. People shouldn't get away with this. They should know they're going to be caught and they're going to be ostracized. They're going to lose their jobs. Yes, thank you, business, for doing that and taking care of that problem. Well done. But we don't worry about that. We punish. Punishment is the key, and it has to stop. Zero tolerance policies make things worse. It ensures that not only does the individual not get punished, but on top of it, the person, the victim, also does not report, because now he or she, and it's usually a she knows that when she reports somebody, all of a sudden that person is going to be fired. That person is going to lose their job. The company might suffer. That's her job. Difficult to get someone to do that when it's her job. That's the piece that I want you to consider. I want you to realize that these laws that Governor Cuomo is coming down with, that's happening all over, it's the wrong answer. We want to reward good behavior and not necessarily punish the bad behavior. I mean, we do, but that's not the focus. The focus should be on rewarding good behavior, encouraging people to not harass. Punishing someone who's done it doesn't really help. I'm going to take a phone call. This is Tracy on line 1. How are you, Tracy? Tracy, you there? I think I've lost Tracy. All right. I think Tracy might have the what are you going to do? Tracy, call back if you like. Are you there? Okay, I think we've lost Tracy. So, okay, next time, call back in, see if you can get a hold of me. All right, look, I'm going to come back with the reason why I care and this matters, because it doesn't just matter for sexual harassment. It also matters for divorce law, family law, and it goes on, and it affects our culture everywhere. If you want to get a hold of me, 877-480-4120, call in. Hopefully Tracy will call back, and I'll talk to you after the break.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential. Live life your way on talkradio.nyc. Who
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors.
Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to the Governor's House. I'm Larry Sharpe. I am running for governor in New York State 2018 this year. Happy New Year, everybody. Been talking about sexual harassment and family law and the idea of punishment not being the answer, but rewarding good behavior. The answer is always to create a better culture so that people don't do these terrible things, that we can lessen this and not just punish the offenders. I have Edwin online. Edwin, how are you? Edwin, are you there? Can you turn down your computer right now?
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm here.
Can you hear me, Edwin? All right. I think we've lost him. Sorry, Edwin. So having some, I guess, technical difficulties. I'm not sure if Edwin wants to talk to me or not. Maybe I'm intimidating. Could be that. Or maybe he's just super smart. I don't know. Who knows? Any case, why am I bringing this up? All right. This now goes to the next step, which is family law. When it comes to family law, you don't know how many fathers I have heard who have been slandered, destroyed, their lives ruined, contemplating suicide, horrible things, losing their families, losing everything. Why? Because sadly, the goal of family court is often the same thing. Punish the father, punish the bad guy, find someone who's wrong, and the person is almost always the male, not always, but almost always the male, and we have to punish him. Family court should not be about punishment. There are three aspects that family court needs to be about. Number one is, well, actually two, but there's one aspect it should be about and three parts to it. The first aspect is family court should be about a child getting access to both his or her parents as much as the child can. Number one, not financial, not right or wrong. You might say, but Larry, there's some deadbeat dads out there. So what? Yes, I said it. So what? I would rather a son or daughter have a deadbeat dad in their life than no dad. How do I know that? I lost my dad when I was a preteen. And my dad wasn't the best father, but he was my father, and I loved him, and I wish I had him. So I'll take that deadbeat dad over no dad. I'll take that deadbeat dad over some dad who instead, because he can't afford to pay child support anymore because he's got in trouble, or he had he got in jail, or anything, whatever, he lost his job, the recession, whatever the case may be. Now he can't afford child support. So he has two choices: go to jail or abandon his family. Wow, how bad is that? For those of you who know how family court works, here's one other thing you don't know. The father has to pay, usually father, almost always, father has to pay based upon what money he has made or can make. So he loses his job. Too bad. He changed his career. Too bad. What planet are we living on? People change their careers all the time. The economy changes every day. Why in the world would you do that? And here's the issue. You hear it all the time. Well, he has to support his children. No, he has to be there for his children, not support. Not support. That check he may or may not write does not replace him in any way, shape, or form. And if you think that, you are wrong. You are wrong. I would rather have that person in that child's life making less money than be gone. They might say, well, Larry, that's not how it works. That's most of them how it works. These are bad guys. No, they're not. They've been lied on in court. Why have they been lied on in court? Because as I said before, there's no punishment for you lying. No punishment. So if the wife decides to say, now, be clear, perhaps he actually has done something bad. I don't know this. But she can say he said something bad, and it could be proven later to be wrong, and so what? She can say anything she wants, and so what? This is a court of law. So first piece I want you to think about is this should be about the child getting access to his parents or her parents. Second, if you lie in court, you lie in court. Fraud is fraud is fraud. Perjury is perjury is perjury. We have to change those things immediately. And try this one more time. Got Charlie on line one. Charlie, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Charlie, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly. What's going on?
Oh, not much, Larry. First of all, big fan. Followed you in the Libertarian primaries in 2016. You're one of my heroes in Liberty. But I actually have a question regarding the Libertarian Party leadership. If you have time.
Go ahead, please.
So last year you came out with a video that I thought was really inspiring about kind of your vision for the party and where the party needed to go.
Yes. My 7-year plan.
Yes, sir. I am pretty disenfranchised with the Libertarian Party leadership, and I'm not a dues-paying member of the Libertarian Party because of that, and because they don't seem like their plans align with your plans. Can you give me some info or some insight on that?
No, I'm happy to. First off, you should pay your dues because I'm a member also. So pay your dues.
Yes, sir.
You should pay your dues. And the reason is the party's still your party. You may not like the leadership, but it's still your party. So you should still pay your dues anyway because we can change the party. Now, I've had my issues with party leadership. Clearly, people who are in the party know that I've had issues with leadership in the past. But the same thing, with that in mind, yes, you're correct. I didn't like the way leadership was moving. So what did I do? I made my own plan. I didn't abandon the party. In fact, I doubled down. I'm on the LNC. I'm a member of the Libertarian National Committee. I actually go to the meetings every quarter and on my own dime and my own time. So yes, I actually am part of it. Yes, I doubled down. I said, I'm not happy with what's happening, but you know what? I'm not going to abandon. I'm going to double down. And now I made my own plan and I'm hoping people follow it. And I'm on the radio telling you, and I'm running for office. So whether National Party does X or Y or Z doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect me at all. I'm going to do what I think is right. I'm gonna push the party forward the way I think is right, and I hope enough people follow me. I want you to do the same thing. So if you don't like leadership, no worries. Pay your dues, become a delegate, show up in New Orleans here in July, change it. Vote out anybody you don't like, get people to believe that you're right, vote them out. You can vote out every single member of the LNC, including me. I'm going to be running also. You can vote me out also. You can vote out any individual, a bunch of, put new people on. But let me give you my best advice. Don't walk away, because right now, at this moment in time, there is no better vehicle for change in this nation than this party. It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
I agree. It's you know, when you did a live stream with Austin Peterson not too long ago, and it was in regards to what Arvin Bora said about the military.
Absolutely.
Things like that just absolutely just trash the party's national reputation, in my
100%.
opinion.
No, you're right.
It's very difficult to become a dues-paying member of a party where the leadership just goes out and says asinine things like that.
So our answer is for us to stop it. I agree with you completely. Look, I made a public statement more than once. You know where I stand on this issue. You know where I stand on this. I was public. In fact, I think if I remember, one of the two of us, maybe only two of us. Yes, right. Patrick McKnight also stood with me, and that's about it. No one else stood with us there. So if you're not happy, New Orleans 2018 this year, if you can't make it, tell the people who are going to make it. Tell people who are delegates. Tell them what you want. You can make a change, my friend. I think you're right. I agree with you. But you can make a change. The alternative is you walk away, and I hear this all the time. But Larry, you know, I'm tired of this. I'm walking away. You can walk away if you want. People do it all the time. But when we walk away, there are literally millions of Americans who are voting our rights away every year. Every year, they are voting our rights away. It's very rare in America for the government to just take rights. Usually, we actually just vote them away. We eagerly vote them away because we're afraid. If we stay home, we let them take our rights away. And you might say, but that's okay. I'm not part of them. You will be when they arrest you or seize your assets, or you have to leave the country, or you got to live in Canada, or wherever the case may be, or off to Mexico. It'll affect you then. So, my friend, I'm happy that you called. Please stay on the page. Please stay in touch. And please pay your dues. And please tell people what you want in New Orleans in 2018. Let the people know you want change. Tell the people who you want. In fact, decide who you think should replace whom and tell people that. And let's make a swap. Let's make a change. This party's your party.
Fair point, Larry. Good luck on your governor's race. I hope you win, man.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. So, anyway, so thank you for that, Joe. I appreciate it. Yes. Look, you guys know I'm a libertarian. I'm pro-libertarian. I'm part of the party. This is my ideology. It's what I believe it's what I know is right. It's what affects everything, the way I think, the way I come at law, the way I come at government, of course. With that in mind, we have to go to the next issue, which is a tough issue, which is what we're talking about. The Second Amendment rights being removed from people who are domestic abusers. Now, this is another bill that's proposed by the governor, and he wants to make sure you have to surrender. You have to surrender, to be clear. You have to surrender all of your firearms, long arms, pistols, doesn't matter, whatever you have, you must surrender everything. Here is my concern about that, several-fold. Number one, when you surrender, do you get them back? Number one, do you get them back? Or never? Does the government just take them? Does the government pay you for them? Or does it just take them, you just lose them? Is that just what happens when you get convicted? But it's not just that. Even misdemeanors, not even felonies, you lose them. Now, I have a problem with this on many different levels. The first one is, theoretically, ideologically, I never want to punish someone in perpetuity unless their affliction or issue or problem is in perpetuity. Otherwise, that is by default cruel and unusual punishment. It's what it is. So how about instead of saying, hey, you got convicted of a crime, you got convicted of domestic abuse, you lose your guns forever, give me your guns, too bad. How about instead, as part of your punishment, you do X time in jail, whatever it is, and you get a probation, 2 years, 1 year, I don't know what the number is. Here's what I know. The data is clear. If the male, let's use the male again, has a gun, the odds of that woman getting shot shoot up tremendously. That's a fact. I got that completely. That is absolutely a fact. Got it. No worries. Instead, hey, do your time. Then 1 year, 2 years, whatever that time frame is. I'm not sure what that time frame is. You're now on probation. We hold your firearms for 2 years. Stay away from your wife. You can't stay away from your wife? You've proven you have a problem in perpetuity. Another 2 years until you stay away from your wife. You don't stay away from your wife? You don't get your guns. You stay away from your wife for 2 years or whatever that time frame is, you get your rights back. Why should someone, anyone, be punished in perpetuity? And here's the problem why this is on top of it. Number one is you can actually get a restraining order in family court. Hence, you can lie. No proof. Restraining order. He'll break the restraining order. That's a felony misdemeanor. He loses all his rights, and it was a lie. And that happens every single day. And I said, but Larry, don't you want to protect the woman? Of course I do. Of course I do. Therefore, what's wrong with this? For the next year, 2 years, whatever that time frame is, the guy, part of his punishment is he has to wear an ankle bracelet. You put that radio is an RFID, I think that's what it's called, RFID on the woman. She has that. She carries it. He comes within 1,000 feet. Cops get called. Done deal. Stay away from your wife. If you stay away from your wife for X number of years, the RFID never goes off unless everyone knows, right? You plan the meeting, whatever it is, everyone knows unless it goes off. God, done. It's a very simple way of ensuring that if the guy's really a bad guy, he gets caught. 1,000 feet, cops get called. If he's not a bad guy and she was lying, he can just go about his life for 2 years and get his rights back. Why wouldn't I want, again, I don't want to punish. I want to encourage good behavior. I want people to stop. I want people to stop lying on their spouses. I want people to stop having horrible divorces where everyone hates each other. Because on top of this all, where does all this vitriol and all this pain come from? The divorce, where everyone's lying on each other, where everyone's fighting with each other, when everyone's stealing each other's money, when everyone's calling each other's names. That's when the guy wants to put a gun in his mouth. And that's when he does. Or before he goes off, he wants to kill her first. He says, if I can't see my children, no one can. Why do we want to encourage this? We want to encourage good behavior. We want to encourage people getting better. We want to encourage people moving forward. I don't want to encourage lying, which is what the government does. I don't want to encourage punishment, the government does. I instead want to encourage people to do the right thing. I want women to be safe, men too, because here's the worst part. What happens when the man says, Well, she tried to kill me. She caught me cheating. She tried to kill me. Now she loses her right to defend herself. Guess what? She can't have a gun. Now we can kill her. Now, obviously, that's less. But I don't want that either. How about no one loses rights? We just give people the technology that we have now to make sure they stay away from each other. And if they're able to be civil and they're actually good people, they can go about their lives. What a child needs is not money from their father or money from their mother. What a child needs is positive role models in his or her life. How about we focus on that? We wonder why so many of us are broken. We're doing it to ourselves. All right, I got someone on the line. I could take more. 877-480-4120. I will take the phone call, and everyone else who's texting me, I'll get back to you after this break.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you a curious person, always asking questions? Do you desire to be in the know? I'm your host, Antonia, of the show So Now You Know. Join me as I attempt to satisfy your curiosity. Listen live Tuesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. weekly at talkradio.nyc.
If you have an interest in marijuana, you want to know about marijuana, law, policy, and culture, then feel free to join me, Joseph A. Bondi, every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on my show In the Know 42 on talkingalternative.com.
Legalize the vote to continue to resist the passage of this necessary legislation.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
All right, welcome back to the Governor's House. I'm Larry Sharpe, your host here. And look, I'm running for governor, New York State, 2018. Doing this weekly so you can talk to me and hear what I have to say and understand who I am. I'll take a quick phone call if I could. This is Raj. How are you, Raj?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. What's going on?
I had a question. I know you wanted to discuss family law. Well, one of the questions I have, how do you expect to fix the family court system and child support? Let's say a male has to pay for a child that's not biologically his. What is and of course, it's proven through DNA. How do you expect to fix this? Because apparently there are some courts that are still making some men pay for child support for a kid that's not biologically theirs. How do you want to fix that part?
No. I'm not necessarily concerned about whether the child's biologically or not. The question is, did the father know it or not? It's the critical aspect, right? In other words, did the father? Hold on, let me answer your question.
The father that's found out later on throughout the years.
Let me answer your question.
And if you did find out, maybe
he doesn't want me to answer his question.
Disputed within a certain time frame, they would actually, of
Look,
course, then they can say, hey,
let me answer your question. Let me answer your question. All right. So if the father knew that he was not biological and chose to adopt the child, that's the just question. Then there's no difference whatsoever. If you adopt the child knowing you're not the biological father, you are now the father, right? That there should be no difference in blood or not, assuming that's the case. So that's not the case, right? And the person then instead finds out later, whatever, I thought it was my kid, now it's not. Yeah, that father has an option on whether or not they will take the child or not. I guess they should, absolutely. But look, if I had a child for 1 year and it wasn't my child, maybe I wouldn't want to take care of that child, maybe. But if I had a child for 10 years and I decided, well, he or she is not my blood child, I don't love them anymore, I'm not sure I want that person taking care of that child anyway. I'm kind of happy if they walk away. I mean, come on. If you had a child in your life for 8, 10 years, whatever that number is, and you find out that, oh, we're not blood related, oh, therefore you're dirt, do you really want that kind of person being that father? I'm not sure you do. So I agree with you. The issue, again, but I have to be very clear on this. If the focus of family court, which it is now, is paying child support, it is financially supporting the child, then that's going to keep happening. I want to break that culture. The culture should be actually supporting that child. So maybe non-biological dad is not required to write a check, but maybe non-biological dad should show up every once in a while to take your kid to a baseball game. I mean, isn't that the old stereotype, right? Or show up when the kid, is graduating or something. I would rather have multiple positive role models in a boy or a girl's life than none. How do I know that? I had none. I was searching for positive male role models most of my teen years. I didn't have a father. So that's why when I was 17, I joined the Marine Corps. Now, I didn't know that then, obviously. I didn't know, I was unconscious. But now I look back and that's what I was doing. So I think it's a valid point. I think our goal has to always be what is the best support of the child, not necessarily financial. I would rather have a poor kid with both parents than a kid who can go to a good college with one. That's what I'd rather have. Why? I had one parent and I was poor and I wish I had two. It would have been better. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know. Did I answer your question, Raj, or no?
I think, I think to some extent, I mean, a lot of people are finding out that there's some people, I guess, within other states, I guess, they're finding out that they're forced to pay child support for so many years, but then they find out later on through DNA testing that the child's not theirs, but yet the courts are still making this man pay for the child.
Of course.
And I guess some people would they say, it's time. I think I should get reimbursed because I found out years later that the child is not mine.
Okay, hold on. Let me give you two things.
It has to be upkeeping.
Let me two things. One, no reimbursement. Absolutely not. That's a gift. You gave that money and that time to that child because you believed that child was yours and you wanted to give it and you gave it. Reimbursement, no way. 100% no. You were taking care of a kid that you believed was yours. You were giving because you thought you should give. I'm okay with that. No worries with that. Ongoing, though, you have a valid point. And ongoing, once you find out, if you want to stop, you should be able to. The point is that the church, I should say it is a church. The court, which is basically a church, it's just the lawyers, just priests. In any case, the court should not be focused on making the guy pay. What the court should be doing is providing some type of arbitration, some type of mediation to get the guy who was this kid's father to stay in that kid's life. How is that kid going to feel if all of a sudden they find out, wow, you're not my dad. Wow, you don't love me anymore. How devastating is that to a kid? That's going to break some kid's psyche. But if the court's concerned about money, they're going to force the father to pay. He's going to be resentful to the mother, resentful to the child, and boom, broken relationship. Versus saying, hey, guy, awesome paid for the past 10 years. That was amazing. You're a good man. Well done. Look, you're not the kid's father. Can you stay in his life? How can we make that happen? How can we have some kind of joint custody or something, joint visitation? How can we keep you in this kid's life? Because you know what? You may not be his father, but to that kid, you're his father. How can we fix that? Does that make sense, Raj?
Yeah, I guess it does. And I guess I have another question, too, regarding family court.
Now you're getting
how about,
greedy.
sometimes, how, the courts tend to give give custody to the mother instead of the male?
Yeah.
Of a divorce?
Yeah.
What happens if the father is the primary breadwinner and the mother's really not doing anything, really not doing anything with her life, but just sitting home on, just say on disability?
Sure.
But yet they still what about, don't you think the father would be would be best to have the custody because he is working, he is providing for the family.
But here's the problem. It's a valid question. I agree. This goes back to culture. I hate to just keep going back to it, but I have to. And that is the idea is let's punish the dad. Let's focus on cash. That's what matters is cash. So if we focus on punishing the dad and cash, that happens all the time. But it doesn't always happen, particularly with the drug war. Now, with the drug war, you have a lot of moms who are also addicts. So a lot of moms are losing kids. But there's another problem here. I have to go one more step into family law. And you've brought me to the next level, which is family law is not about the kid being with family. So when all of a sudden the mom is a drug addict or the dad is a deadbeat, or you insert bad thing here, there's a CPS steps in, Child Protective Services steps in, and when they step in to take your child away, and in many states, they purposely do not give the kid to family. Purposely. Why? They're afraid that the mother or father may somehow get a hold of their child. Isn't that a good thing? So now instead, the child could ripped away from their parents, doesn't go to uncle or sister or cousin or brother or insert thing here, goes to foster care. Why? Because we're worried about the safety of the child. I get that worry, but here's what I will say every single time. Family is going to be better. Now, are sometimes the family bad and will sometimes kids be screwed over? Yes, but guess what's worse? Foster care. Kids are always worse off in foster care. They're always worse off, right? Statistically, this is a fact. You can do your homework and you think I'm crazy. Do your homework. Yeah. Kids are statistically worse off in a foster care than they are with their family. So, of course, sometimes family is going to screw that kid over. That happens. That happens every day. Foster care is worse.
If I'm not mistaken, the foster parents, they, instead of trying to discipline them, they always try to, like, send them to a psych hospital. Basically, that's how most foster carers are like. They would send the child to a mental health institution where they would be more abused.
You got it. Absolutely. Foster care is not the answer. CPS is a racket. It's another racket that we're trying to pretend like we're trying to legislate perfection. That's never going to happen. You can't make enough rules to make the world perfect. What you can do is create enough rules, just enough basic rules to try to keep honest people honest and to let the crooked people come to the top so we can punish them. We can try to make it to where most people are taken care of. That's what I want. That's not perfect. There is no perfect. But again, focus on the child, having positive male and female role models in their life. Focus on the child being with family. Now, if you have a deadbeat dad who doesn't want to pay for his kid, why would you force him? Now he hates his kid. Now he hates his wife. I know it sounds terrible, but I'd rather have her move on. So thank you, Raj. I appreciate your call.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So again, that brings me to my next idea, which is why right now so many courts are actually not bringing kids to their families. If your mother and father are in trouble, maybe with the opioid addiction, now they're addicted, or they've lost their jobs, or insert thing here. They're violent, they're bad people, any of those things. Why in the world wouldn't you give that child to an uncle if an uncle would take it? Grandmother, grandfather, insert thing here. Why would you decide that the right answer is CPS? And of course, the idea is punishment, and protection no matter what. Protection no matter what. Even Governor Cuomo today said the number one goal of government, that's what he said, number one goal of government is to protect the people. It is not. It is not. The number one goal of government should be to protect our rights. Our rights, not us. I was a Marine. Hold on. I was a Marine, right? I was a Marine. And I took an oath, the same oath the president takes. And the oath I took was not to protect every single American because something might happen. That wasn't my oath. The oath I took was to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And domestic, that means government and domestic. The number one issue with government, number one rule of government should be to protect rights, not to protect the individual. What is supposed to happen? It doesn't happen at all, but what's supposed to happen is the government protects our Constitution. The Constitution protects us, our rights, and then we protect ourselves. That's how it's supposed to happen, but it's not. Courts are stepping in an attempt to stop everything, protect everything. They are crushing families. They are breaking men. They are breaking and destroying kids. They are making people hate each other. They are fostering battles, fights, revenge. They are the cause. You think I'm right? 877-480-4120. You think I'm wrong? 877-480-4120. Talk to you when I get back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth from Nourish the Soul, and on this show, you will uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to having a healthy relationship to food and your body. Join us every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Yes, I am back. It's Larry Sharpe. This is the governor's house. I'm running for governor of New York in 2018. I'm doing this every week, so you can call and talk to me. Let me know what you think about the topics, or start your own topics. I'm fine with any one. For those of you who want to help me out, please help me out. It's important that we make this happen. If you haven't donated, why not? You're listening to me. I'm funny and I'm good looking. LarrySharpe.com and modest. LarrySharpe.com. Donate whatever you can. $150, $25, $1 million, whatever you can do. My maximum is $44,000. Please go ahead and do this so we can do more of this. I can give you more of me, and I can take more time and energy to travel the state so you have a chance of making impact. And impact is what matters. LarrySharpe.com pledge. All right, I have Edmund trying again. Edmund, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, we got it. I love it. Edmund, good to hear from you. What's going on?
Yes, how you doing, Larry? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
We got a mutual friend in CJ Abernathy.
Yes.
Just got the dad here.
Yes, he is. He's running for office. I love that. More people should do what he's doing.
Of course. Well, you know, that's my boy there. We're partners in family law reform.
I love it. Well, look, that's what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, so you're on my side here, I guess, right?
Yep. I'm here. I'm in your area. I'm here in Brooklyn, New York. Looking forward to the Libertarian Party, making some reform here with that.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to know, what can we do to ensure and encourage some accountability and oversight when it comes to the false allegations that are being used against primarily fathers by the attorneys and other officers of the court?
Absolutely.
As a father who's been in family court for 7 years, my ex didn't make most of the allegations that kept me from my son, but the attorney for the child.
Absolutely.
And the Children's Law Center. And I found that I had no way to address that issue.
Yes, this is a huge issue. And again, it's a very simple fix. And it's going to sound crazy, but it's this simple. You simply make lying in court perjury. That's it. As you probably heard me talk about before, I never want to hit the branch of a problem. I want to hit the root. So the first thing is, if you lie in court, it is perjury. If you're a lawyer and you lie in court, you lose your ability to practice law in that state. Make that happen, lawyers stop lying. Make that happen, judges stop lying. Make that happen, moms and dads stop lying. Not just that, if the lawyer knows that their client is lying, they are also responsible. You make that happen, that will stop too. Right now, they're encouraging. I've had people some of my clients are in the law industry, and some of them actually are family law attorneys. And I've heard this statement more than once. The statement that, oh my God, all family lawyers, they're so terrible. Oh my God, the whole thing's a pig pen. It's just, I hear it all the time.
It's known. It's just that as a New Yorker, I was speaking from the vast experience. There is no one who takes the complaint against an attorney.
Yes.
You know, there's no separate entities who are not attorneys themselves
Yep.
who will act against an attorney here in New York City.
Yes, and look, let me be clear. Today, and this goes right into my last piece of the day, so perfect timing. Thank you for this, Edmund. Today, Governor Cuomo spoke about how things were so unfair in the justice system. He spoke about how we have to make changes in our prison reform and all the things. And he spoke about a specific individual who spent 3 years in prison, waiting to have his trial, and he committed suicide. So about this stuff. And my question to him is, well, Governor, why didn't you pardon him? Well, Governor, why didn't you do something? You're the executive. Why didn't you tell your people to stop? Why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you use the bully pulpit before the kid died? Why did you only do it once you're running for office this year? Now, I'm going to tell you, I've been talking about this before I announced. I'm talking about it now, and I will talk about it while I'm there. I will be the guy who will say no more. I will be the guy who says the buck stops here. What I don't want is I don't want a separate non-government entity. I don't want that. We do it a lot in New York. And what happens when you do that, like the Board of Regents in New York State, what a disaster that is. What that does is it allows all of a sudden no one to be responsible. That's why the MTA is a disaster, because the MTA is a separate kind of government, kind of not, kind of New Jersey, parts Connecticut, parts New York. This way, no one can say they're in charge. This way, no one takes responsibility. That's why de Blasio in New York City blames Cuomo in New York State, and Cuomo blames de Blasio. I don't want that. I want all that underneath either the New York City mayor or the New York State governor, so that when this happens, you can point the finger and say, Larry Sharpe, why didn't you do something? And I can say, damn it, I'm sorry. I should have done something. You're right. So what I will do off the bat is I will actually have an office of the pardon, where I'll be having people who are looking around for people who shouldn't be in jail, who shouldn't be going to jail. Look, the one thing that Cuomo never mentioned was all these problems, how bad it is for bail, and people are in trouble and are just terrible. How about ending the war on drugs? How about don't send them to jail in the first place? How about don't arrest them in the first place? How about don't do that? So I'm going to bring this up for you when it comes to family law. How about don't create an environment where it's okay to lie? How about don't create an environment where it's us versus them? Why is there a lawyer for the mom and the dad and not just an arbitrator for them both? Why do we have a situation to where one person has to lose so one can win? Why isn't it so that the family can actually win? That is what I'm trying to get at here. And I think you're right, Edmund. I want you to realize that the idea is the culture change. I don't want to create another set of bureaucracy. You create more bureaucracy, it'll just get worse. Instead, I want one person. Look, I'm a business guy. It's what I do. I never tell some leader, you know what you should do? Create some form some coalition, to create some coalition, to create a team, to think about doing stuff. I never say that. Big business does it all the time. McKinsey, they do it all the time. But actual people who actually run businesses don't do that. They say, you, leader, fix it. You, leader, find someone to fix it and make them responsible. So to your point, Edmund, I want one person to be responsible. If I'm the governor, that person will be me. So you can call me up 2 years from now and say, Larry, you didn't do what you said. And I'll say, you know what, Edmund, you're right. And I'll make changes. Does that answer your question?
Right, you got it.
All right. So yes, I don't want us to start to make these extra things. And I'm going to go a little further what Cuomo said today. And for you non-New Yorkers, this may not be that important to you, but for you New Yorkers, I hope you watched it and you know the things that he said. He wants to stop, this is great, he wants to stop civil asset forfeitures unless, this or there's an arrest. And then if you're going to stop civil asset forfeitures unless there's an arrest, there's going to be a lot of arrests now. You're going to put a lot more people in jail because there's a lot of police forces that rely on that money. So if you do that, you're going to put more New Yorkers in jail. I have an idea. Stop civil asset forfeiture, period. Just end it. Just stop it. They may say, but Larry, we need it for X, Y, and Z. All right. I might compromise. I might, maybe, if you simply said civil asset forfeiture, the local or city or whatever the case may be can only take $1,000 a year. That's it. The rest donated to charity or kept on the auction block or is held for when the person, whatever. I don't care. If you think you need to remove it for some reason, maybe I've missed something. But you can't go into the coffers of those who actually are doing the arresting. You're asking them to arrest. You are turning our police force into bandits. I don't want that. I want police to do what police should be doing. Stopping people who are creating victims, going after people who are creating victims. I don't want the cops taking the assets of people who have a plant in their pocket or who have an addiction problem or any other issue. So this goes back to the same idea. It's create laws to punish. Create laws to punish. Where's the create law to encourage? Where's the create law to, where's the remove law to encourage? When are we going to stop thinking the answer is always punishment, punishment, punishment? When are we going to start thinking that the answer might be create an environment for people to thrive? How about that? I know it sounds crazy, but again, I'm a business guy, right? I never tell someone in their business, you know what you don't have enough of? Rules. Don't have enough. You know what you have enough of? You know what you not? No, you aren't mean enough. You don't punish your employees enough. I never say that, ever. Why? Because no organization should think that, ever. Maybe you should be the reverse. Maybe you should reward your employees more. Maybe you should not be a jerk, right? But we think it's the answer. And again, we have to break this mindset. I brought up family law today because I knew it was an issue. Sexual harassment, I knew it was an issue. The gun rights issue, I knew it was an issue. And people often say, well, Larry, do you want to touch these issues? Do you want to touch these tough issues? And my answer is yes. When I said the buck stops here, I wasn't joking. I meant that. I take any question, even if it's a tough one. I don't mind, because being a governor, being a leader in any organization doesn't mean being politically correct. It doesn't mean being safe. It means being a leader. It means taking on the hard choices, making things happen, and accepting all the questions. And not just that, realizing that I won't have every answer. I won't. But I know many of you will. Many of you will. And my goal has to be, as a leader, is to make my team the best team I can make it. New York State, you are my team. You must be the best you can be. We must be the best we can be. And I don't do that by punishing you. I do that by encouraging you. The next thing people talked about was the idea of the taxes. We're gonna figure out how to change taxes, right? Great. I have an idea. Get rid of the taxes. How about lower some spending? All right, I've yapped away. Look, guys, LarrySharpe.com. Pledge, donate. You like this? Let me do more. Help me do more. Pledge whatever you can pledge. 100, 25, 50 bucks. Make it happen. This is Larry Sharpe. This is the Governor's House, and I will see you next week.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.